Hi you guys! Today I'm going to talk about LARP costuming. And I chose this topic today because often I'm asked how to make your first LARP costume, how to improve a LARP costume that you already have, and usually how to make your costume feel less like a costume and more lived in. And that is definitely what's going to give you a better costume in your opinion, which is most important. And also, which is awesome, is the way that your costume is perceived by other players as more real. One of the ways to collect items and build up your character's costume over time is the following. Things like Goodwill and Salvation Army are a great way to find props and accessories and costume pieces and things that can be transformed into costume pieces. And one of the best ways to make an amazing, unique costume is to make your own or to alter things. So if you can sew, then awesome. And if you can't, you can always try to learn, or you have friends in the LARP community that love to sew. Awesome. And Etsy is a great place to find LARP stuff, along with Listia.com if you want free stuff on there. It's kind of like a Goodwill online. And things like flea markets are great places to go hunting for LARP stuff. And all of these places are good places to look if you want to collect items to build up your character. I'm going to run through some of the things that I did to make my main character's costume feel more real and more lived in. When I first started LARPing, my first character, she's still alive, that is my character Saga, and I've been playing this character since my very first day of LARPing, but my character does look a lot different. My very first 2 months of LARP, I wore some little flat shoes that were made in Thailand that I got from a Goodwill, and I wore a plain red linen dress that was loaned to me. This dress had no trim or anything, and I looked very plain, and I was also loaned a veil. And I'm about to tell you about how I improved this costume. But first, I want to tell you guys that for a while I was very displeased with this character and with LARPing as her because I didn't feel a connection with her. I felt like she was very plain, she didn't feel exciting, and I didn't feel like a, a good, important, and colorful part of the world that we were in. And I changed that, and that changed how I felt and how I felt while playing and how I felt about the character herself. And what I did was I added piece by piece over time things that felt like they would be important to my character, that felt like important parts of their outfit, and just really represented them well and represented their culture and who they are as a person. I'm going to go through some examples. Very basic thing is layers. The more layers, the more lived in you're probably going to look and feel, and it adds more to the costume. And it's also great for weather changes because if you're wearing a lot of layers, it's easier to take some off than to put on some that you don't have. And here's a difference in the plain red dress that I first wore. Now I wear 2 to 3 dresses. I usually wear an apron dress over this, but I have this red dress now with a trim that I sewed on, and there's also an underdress. And this is important because underdresses are worn by the women of the culture that my character is, along with veils and often apron dresses. So wearing certain types of clothing that are known to be worn by someone that is like your character, who is either from the same region or who has the same job. It adds to your character and it helps people understand who they are. You really display your character well. And an example of clothing that goes with your character's job is my surgeon's apron. So if you have something on your person that has to do with your character's job or something useful that they do, that's a plus. So I have a costume piece that shows that I am a surgeon because I have an apron. Having costume pieces of different materials is great. Having different types of cloth and sometimes leather or faux leather. It doesn't always have to be real leather. Here's an example of a piece that I made for LARP, and it's just a leather hood, and it only takes a very short amount of time to make, or you can find some that are affordable, and just head accessories really add to a costume. Doesn't matter the time period or anything. People all the time wear hats or head coverings or scarves as decoration or for useful practical reasons or just to represent something like their culture or their religion. So why would LARP be any different? Next, we're moving on to sometimes having religion in LARPs, and the main LARP that I play does, and so on my belts there are some things that represent my character, and one is her religion. And this is one of the old gods that she worships, and it is represented on her belt because it's one of her favorites. So that's another way you can really add to your costume if you're wondering what kind of random things can I add. Think about these types of things, these small things that really matter. They really add to it, and you might not think about it, you know? And so on my belt, here's another sort of religious item, because this is a fox head, and this was just given to me by someone. This is just a fox head, but there is an old god who is represented by a fox, so this also, you know, correlates with my character's religion and where she's from, because she's an Outlander, and the Outlanders are usually into the old gods. And I just have little decorations, like little pins and things. I'm always on the lookout for furs and stuff, if you're into that sort of thing. Having accessories is good. Little pieces of jewelry, belts, things that are on your belts. These are all awesome because they are one more thing that looks great on you. And it's one more thing that your character must love because it's on them. It's something that represents them. Like this belt is so Saga. Like she loves her belt. She loves to gamble with her money. She really loves wearing fur because she's an Outlander, and the Outlanders are known for wearing a lot of fur. She's pretty religious, and she represents some of her favorite gods on her clothing. She wears a veil because it represents where she's from and her religion. The women cover their heads. I wear multiple types of fabric. I wear layers, and I represent my job. And those are some ways that I made my costume feel more genuine and lived in, so that I didn't feel like I was putting on a costume, and a poor costume at that, and going out and pretending to be my character. I eventually worked on this costume and made it Saga's clothing. It wasn't just a costume anymore. These clothes, these articles of clothing, these tiny pieces, these little accessories, all over time hold meaning and memory. And that's what I'm hoping you guys can achieve. And it's what I'm hoping can translate into the way you do your costume building and the games you play. I hope it can work for you guys, these little notes I'm giving here. Another good thing is footwear. Have proper footwear for what you're going to do. If it is a very active game, especially if it's a modern game, try to wear some comfortable shoes that you can do these activities in without becoming injured. Or if you're not worried about shoes for your athleticism and you want to just look great, try to have shoes appropriate for the setting. And for me, for my character, some Viking type shoes were appropriate, and that's what I got. And for example, for War with Friends, where it's just like a war game, I try not to go out in these shoes unless I'm randomly dressed like a Viking, and I wear my combat boots because they're easier to run through the woods in, and they look more appropriate with the outfit that I wear. And the next is makeup. If your character that you want to portray needs makeup, just make sure you do it in a way that lasts and hopefully doesn't need too much touching up over time, because it might get pretty annoying to have to constantly take a break and fix your makeup. I really hope that this video helps with some of your questions about putting together a LARP costume. If you have any more specific questions, please let me know and I will make sure to answer them as soon as possible. This of course might not apply to everyone, but I try to give advice that would be suitable for most games by not saying specifically medieval stuff, but the examples that I had to show were from my character, who happens to be in a Dark Ages setting. So I'm sorry about all the medieval looking stuff that I threw in your face, but I'm hoping that you guys can see how this can apply to all kinds of characters by just really thinking about it and thinking about what your character would actually have if you met them at a random moment in their real life. What all do they have on them? That's a good way to think about it. But please, any questions that you might have, send them to me. I'll be happy to answer. If this video wasn't helpful, I'm so sorry. I will do better next time. But definitely, if you have any more questions, let me know. Or if you have any suggestions for my next topic to talk about and think about with you guys, you can let me know that too. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or any of my other videos or my blog, and have an awesome day.